I'm Chris.
And I'm Bailey.
I hope this episode isn't rough.
Oh, wow.
I hope it's more of the cat's meow.
I think it's going to be perfect.
It's going to be perfect. We're talking pets.
Yes, talking Scheetz, talking pets.
Here it goes.
Even when we got nothing to talk about, there's nowhere I'd rather be. 'Cause there's something about you and me just sitting around talking Scheetz.
Talking Scheetz.
Talking pets.
As always, this has nothing to do with what we're about to talk about, but a little behind the scenes for you. To line up the video and the audio, there is a video version of this. You can go to YouTube if you haven't yet, so you can see our smiling faces in the very exciting studio.
Yes, and my honey sweater.
You're wearing a honey sweater.
Yes, in honor of my dog.
But to line up the audio and the video, just before we start, Bailey goes 3, 2, 1, and we both clap. And the idea is we're supposed to clap at the same time, and I can't. Again, my lack of coordination, we have to do that about 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a coordination thing or like timing. Like you're offbeat every time. Yeah, it's the hardest part of the show.
You never want to sit beside me at a concert.
No,
because I'm always that guy that's half off. Exactly. That's the way it goes. All right. It is the pet edition of the show. Why is that?
That is because of our amazing friends at the Edmonton Pet Expo, which
Yeah.
is coming to town this weekend.
Yeah.
So March.
If you're listening this week.
Sorry, yes, I should. People do listen on different days.
Yeah, we don't want someone to show up at the Pet Expo in July.
No.
Because they said, well, Bailey and Chris said it's coming up this weekend.
But maybe they'll catch it next year.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're listening to this in real time
right.
on a Monday, it is coming up this weekend on March 8th and 9th at the Edmonton Expo Centre.
Okay.
Yeah, and there's so many exciting things to do at the Pet Expo. You know that we'll be there. It is going to be so much fun. There's going to be presentations, animal demonstrations, meeting adorable animal exhibitors. I'm not sure what an animal exhibitor is, but I feel like I'd want to meet them if they're adorable.
I think they exhibit animals.
Yes, and you can learn a thing or two from the animal experts at the Pet Expo.
That is the most important part.
Yes, especially for us.
Because we think, well, I don't think I'm an animal expert. I know I'm a terrible dog dad when it comes to training my dog.
Yeah.
So we got an expert coming up that's going to give us more information about that. But you can see that at the Pet Expo this coming weekend if you listen to this on Monday, not in July.
Yes.
If you listen to it in July. Okay.
And it is the super dogs are going to be there as well.
All right.
Which we've heard of the super dogs.
Yes.
And Kristen, who we meet up with next, talks about them as well. So that's very exciting.
Yeah.
But it's just your chance to interact with fluffy, feathery, scaly friends.
Okay.
So it's not just dogs. We're going to talk a lot about dogs in this episode, but there's all kinds of different pets and different services for your pets and gifts for your pets. It's going to be an amazing time.
Fluffy, furry, scaly. Which one of those three?
Feathery.
Feathery. Which one do you prefer?
I was going to say, I thought you were going to ask which one you were.
I'm fluffy and I'm a little scaly. It all depends on the time of year. I've been known to not wear sunscreen, so I get a little scaly from time to time.
You know what? I'm an equal opportunity pet person.
Yeah.
I love a lizard. I love a cat. I love a dog. I love a bird.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see them all there.
Yeah.
You can get your tickets now. Petexpo.ca.
Well, we're going to go not necessarily in order here, but you talk about birds. I never understood the fascination people had with birds.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you were a young girl, your friend Lindsay was going on a vacation and we got to bird sit.
Yeah, for her cockatiel.
Yeah. What was his name? It was Ukrainian. Toshik. It was Ukrainian for bird.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that little cockatiel stole our heart in a week.
It was so smart.
Yeah.
Like so smart. Like, yeah. Smart, funny. It could communicate in a way that,
loving. It would hang out on your shoulder or wherever. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with a bird. Because at first I thought, okay, this is ridiculous.
We cried when Toshik went back to Lindsay's family.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what it was. Yeah. I think that just shows you though that you think, oh, I'm a dog person or I'm a this person. But once you get to know the animal, I feel like you can be an animal person.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Well, there. So, okay, we weren't going to talk about Toshik, but we did. And
shout out.
You can see birds at the Pet Expo.
Yes.
So that's a perfect example. I was going back in my life. Again, I grew up on a farm southwest of Edmonton, Thorsby, and grew up on when I was a young child, it was a dairy farm. My mom and dad and my brother and I, this was before my other brother and sister were born, and it was a dairy farm. And so it was natural for us to have border collies or collies. I don't know, border collies, beautiful black and white dogs, long hair. And smart like a whips. And their names these were real original names. Lassie and Snoopy. Like really original.
But that's cute.
But Lassie and Snoopy were my first. That's my first memory of having dogs, and they were fantastic. And my brother and I were just wee little guys, but we'd go out to the pasture with Lassie and Snoopy, and we'd say, come boss," to call the cattle in to get milked, and those dogs would go and round them up and bring them in, and that's how smart those two dogs were, Lassie and Snoopy, and
Working dogs.
they were working dogs,
Yeah.
and they were just absolutely fantastic. So that was my first memory of the dogs, and I do remember. You know what? It's a fact of life. But one of my core memories as a child is when Snoopy, and this happens on the farm. This happens everywhere. When Snoopy got run over, and I still can remember myself at like 5 years old or however old I was, under the spruce tree, crying and crying and crying because I've just And again, it was my first experience with loss.
Your
And-
first love in a way. Like your first pets are so important to you.
Oh, they were, right? And so
Mhm.
Snoopy and Lassie, of course, then they moved on to greener pastures, to the farm in the sky, and the Rainbow Bridge, as we call it. And then Sheba came into our life, and I don't even know where Sheba came from, but she was a Heinz 57. A lot of these dogs on the farm are, right? But I loved Sheba a lot. I don't know where we got her name from, but I think it was probably from Sheba the Princess Warrior or something. I don't know
Yeah.
where Sheba came from, but
I
Sheba.
can't tell you I wasn't alive.
You certainly weren't. And then our neighbor brought over an English Belgian Bouvier dog that showed up. He worked on the rigs, like out of town. And this dog just showed up, and it was this big, furry, black, mostly black dog and white, and it was a Belgian Bouvier. If you can Google it, you can see what these dogs are like. And he said, "You guys can keep this dog," and his name was Sprocket, and he was my just absolute best friend. Sprocket loved to ride in tractors, in trucks. He loved truck rides, and so he'd ride with you, and he was big, and he was furry, and he was absolutely fantastic. So Sprocket was just a huge part of my life growing up, and I think we can all remember those dogs when we were growing up, and they were our best friends.
Mhm.
Like he was your best friend. Like when I got off the school bus, there he was, right?
They were always there for you.
Yeah.
In every part of your life, which
Ex-
was amazing. Especially growing up, it feels like they're just there for such a long time, and they're not always, but it feels
Yeah,
like
it feels like a long time because this is short. You've only been around for a short time.
yeah, for
Right?
sure.
Right?
And there's no love like the love of a dog.
No. So when we got married, my wife and I, Karen, and we had a family. We had Baillie and we had Carter. It would have been natural because I grew up around dogs and I love dogs so much, but we seemed to be just too busy. It just didn't make any sense for us.
We
Like,
didn't have a pet. Well,
No.
we didn't have a dog, I should say.
What did you
for
have?
for a long time? We had goldfish.
Yeah.
We had various goldfish. They were mostly Carter's because he loves fish still.
Yeah.
But we had a rotating cast of goldfish, and we've mentioned Goldberg before.
Yes.
But he was the one that stuck around the longest.
Right.
And I honestly have no idea how long he actually lived.
I
But
think 4 years.
it was years.
It was
years
4
and
years.
years.
4
Yeah,
years.
which is
He had a goldfish in a little goldfish bowl. I'm showing it right if you're watching the video right now. Yeah,
Yeah.
just a little bowl.
yeah, and it must be like one of the oldest goldfish to ever live. Like he was, yeah. And when that fish went belly up,
Yeah.
that
It-
was a tough day in
Yeah.
our household. And I think seeing us when Goldfish passed away, or
Yeah.
Goldberg, the goldfish passed away,
Yeah.
reinforced that maybe we weren't ready for a dog.
No.
or a cat or
As a
anything
family.
else.
Yeah, we took that so hard, right?
Yeah.
So, and then we did get an aquarium. There's a reason why there's a lot of aquariums on Kijiji for free. Come and get it because they're a lot of work.
They're a lot of work, and it feels like no matter what you do, they're always dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And there's
Cleaning them, keeping it all maintained with the right levels, and
there's
yeah.
always one or two floating and
Ugh.
one or two trying to eat the others.
Yeah.
It's like Hunger Games in that aquarium.
Yeah, you have to make sure you get the fish that get along, and even if you get the right ones, sometimes there's just two bad fish in the sea, and they're fighting and try to eat each other, and that's horrific to watch as a child.
We got some kind of a neon blue crabfish. What was it? I can't remember what his name was, but yeah. Anyway, it was the again, to each their own. And there's nothing cooler than seeing a really well kept aquarium.
and fish are amazing. They're
But-
super cool and beautiful.
But ours was not well kept.
no, and we tried,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was a little bit. It was stressful, especially on mom.
Right. So in 2006, how old were you?
I would have been in grade 6. So that's how I know my life is that every the year I was in the grade. So
Oh.
2006, I was in grade 6. So I would have been like,
Okay. And prior to that, when
12?
we did go once to a pet store to look for a dog, I
Oh,
remember that.
I can't even think about that. I think I was in grade 1 or 2 at that point. So
And
I was young.
what stopped us? I don't even know. Like,
This
because
is,
once you go to a pet store and you see those little puppies jumping, like what?
this is going to make you, this isn't going to, you're not going to come off in an amazing light here.
Yeah.
But Carter and I were very young and we packed up the family to go look at puppies at a
Yeah.
store. I vividly remember this. They were little black,
Yeah.
curly haired, fluffy little puppies.
I think it was in Leduc, if
And
I'm
then-
not mistaken, a pet
And
store
then
in
we
Leduc.
just didn't get one.
Yeah.
And I guess we took it okay, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Why didn't we? I mean,
I don't know.
but I think we just said, you know what, our life was just so crazy.
Yeah.
And a dog
Especially a puppy.
is a lot of work. And I
Yeah.
think selfishly, I think we just said we're not going to do
Yeah.
it. So
And we were busy kids. You
yeah.
know, we were doing sports. I was dancing. Carter was in hockey, which is a full-time job. So I think it was just like we are too busy to give a dog what they might need right now.
I was going like 15 hours a day. It just didn't make sense. Sometimes it doesn't make sense. It wouldn't have been fair to the dog, right?
Mhm.
So we assumed that was going to be it. You guys were going to grow up without a dog.
Mhm.
So in 2006, the reason I bring that up, you were in grade 6, so Carter was in like grade 4, and we moved to the property we're on now, which there was a house. We came to look at it, and I'll never forget it. We came around the corner of the house, and there was a dog run, a fair-sized dog run, and there was a Labrador Retriever jumping, kind of trying to get our attention, and we walked by, and I said, "Oh, look at that cute dog,"
And it was going crazy.
yeah, it was going
Barking, jumping.
Right. And Karen said, well, if we buy this place, we're going to have to get rid of the dog run. And I said, well, yeah, I guess. Okay. And so we spent some time there, and it was a weird situation because the people that sold us the house were there. Normally when you go to a house and you get a chance to view it, there's nobody at the house, right? But they insisted on staying because they were going to like interview people to buy their house.
They loved their property a lot, and
Yeah.
so they wanted to make sure that the right people took it over. I think
Yeah.
they were sad to be leaving, and so they
they were
wanted-
empty nesting. Their kids
Yeah.
had grown up, and
We're moving into the city.
so we passed the interview, and we
Yeah.
we made an offer, and we got the place. And then my brother-in-law Darcy Pollock, our real estate agent to the stars, was our real estate agent, and he called a couple weeks later, said, "You're not going to believe it." He said, "You know the house you bought?" I said, "Yeah." "They want to know if you want to keep the dog."
Mhm.
And I went, "Pardon?" And he said, "Yeah, they just think it would be great for you. They were moving into the city, and it wasn't going to be fair to the dog, and so they want to leave the dog."
Mhm.
And I remember 3 of us voting yes, that you, your brother, and I, and your mom not so much.
Yeah.
And we kept the dog.
It was a 3-1 vote. What
Yeah.
can you do?
Yeah. So we kept Lacey as that was her name. So she was 2 when we got her,
Mhm.
and she was absolutely brilliant. She was just the smartest, best dog. She had one bad problem. She did not like other dogs.
No, she was the sweetest with humans. Like
Yeah.
nobody ever believed that she didn't like other dogs
Yeah.
until another dog came around,
Yeah.
and she got very protective of people.
Hair on the back,
Yeah.
standing up, and
She
yeah.
was, it was very uncharacteristic for her, but you know what? She stayed on her place, and
Yeah.
she didn't want any other dog. She wanted to be the only dog.
Yeah, and that was fair. And
Mhm.
so one time she was, I remember it was around Easter, and she was just not acting herself, and it was, and she started to really get lethargic, and she started to swell. And I remember bringing her upstairs. She never slept in our bedroom, but I brought her upstairs one night, and I could hear her breathing, and it was just not going well. And so I'm like, oh, I got to take her to the emergency vet. So I did, and it ended up that she loved fetching. That was her life. She would bring a stick. The garbage man used to wait by the garbage, she used to wait by the garbage. So because every time the garbage man came, he'd play fetch with her a little bit.
So she knew that every week
Yeah.
she would wait by the garbage cans. Yeah,
yeah.
fetch was her life. That was her true passion.
So she chewed on a stick, and long story short, we found out that when she chewed on a stick, a piece of the stick went underneath and into her neck,
Mhm.
and she required a very expensive surgery. But
Yes.
it saved her, and it was all good. And
Yeah.
we
recovery wasn't horrible from that. It was okay.
No, and the vet said, don't ever throw a stick to your dog. Find a plastic rubber thing. So
Mhm.
there's they said if you can afford to throw sticks, you can afford the vet bill.
Mhm.
So he said buy toys for them to retrieve. So
Mhm.
there's a fun fact for you. And then just a year or 2 after that, she crossed the road and she got hit,
Mhm.
and she was in the ditch, and I was having flashbacks to Snoopy. And I went to get her, and I remember picking her up, and she was in so much pain. She bit me in the arm, and I put her in the vehicle, and I came to the house, and I said, I've got to take Lacey to the emergency clinic. And she had become such like a sibling to you and Carter.
Lacey was, truly a best friend. Like you mentioned about Snoopy and the dogs that you grew up with. She was my first like real pet that we had, and she was so smart and so incredible that we ran with her, we played with her, she played sports with us.
Yeah, she would go in net, and Carter would shoot on her. Like she literally she knew where to stand, and he'd shoot the tennis ball, and she'd try to save it. It was just ridiculous.
Or golf. You could hit a golf drive, and she would go retrieve the golf ball way deep in the bush.
Bring it back, put it back on the tee almost.
Yeah,
right?
she was incredible. So at that point, she was truly like one of our siblings and one of our family members, and then she was not good after that.
No.
And that was not easy for Carter and I.
No. So I came in the house, and I talked to you and Carter, and I saw how sad he was, and I said, Carter, don't worry, I'm going to bring her home. I'll bring her home. And I didn't believe that at the time, but I'm just like,
she bit you, which was again so uncharacteristic.
I saw how sad it was, and so I took her into the emergency on the south side, and it turned out she had a broken pelvis. And they talked about it, and we tried to figure out what to do, and they were going to amputate that leg, and then they didn't, and then they put a metal piece in, and she spent like 6 days in a very expensive hospital.
You keep mentioning the price.
I know, but anyway, you never think you're going to spend this kind of money on your dogs, but then of course you do.
Yeah, it's like your kid.
Exactly. So long story short, she came out of that. That leg was about 75% for the rest of her life.
Yeah. The recovery was something. Remember, we'd have to carry her around and hold up her back end to go to the washroom. I remember sleeping on the couch for days because she couldn't use stairs or anything. So she slept in our living room on her bed, and we would take turns sleeping on the couch beside her to make sure she was okay. Yeah, that was like... Yeah. But what an incredible recovery afterwards. Like, considering the condition she was in.
She did great, and she lived to 14, and it was time, unfortunately. And you make that tough decision, but again, the Devon Veterinary Clinic handled it so well. Nobody should suffer, and certainly not your pet. So, everybody. It's a sad thing, but when you put your dog down, I thought I'd handled it well, and Karen was the tougher one of the two of us. She was signing the papers and doing all that stuff, and I was with Lacey, and we got back in the vehicle after it had happened. And I said to Karen, I said, well, that was tough. I said, but I think I handled it really well. And she said, Chris, you were on the floor banging your head on the wall.
Yeah.
So I guess I didn't handle it well.
I mean, you were there at least.
Yeah.
I couldn't even, that was truly a tough weekday life. It was. Again, Lacey, I feel like we're telling a lot of sad stories.
I know,
about
I'm sorry,
pets.
but it's relatable. Like,
For sure.
Unfortunately, you can relate. But I mean, we had so many great days with her. Like,
I'd like to talk about her at the river.
Yeah, she loved the river.
That was her favorite.
She loved the river boat. I literally bought a river boat for her.
You bought her a boat, and it was worth it.
Yeah,
because it was her favorite thing on earth to fetch and swim in the river.
And we took her to this special island on the other side of Devon, past the nudie beach there. That the nudists will hang out.
She loved the nudist beach.
Cottontail Corner or whatever it's called. But again, it's just these animals are with us, a relatively short time, but they make such a huge impression. I went on I talked a lot about Lacey, like I talked a lot about my family, and she was part of it. And when I, mentioned that she had passed away, the response that morning was unbelievable.
Oh, pet grief is very real, and a lot of people go through it, and you don't, you don't know what to do. And I remember coming to the house for the first time after she was put down, because I was I living at home? I can't remember, but I remember coming to the house for the first time, and you just see all of the things. She was such a part of our lives in every way. It's her dog bed, her toys, her hair everywhere. Like she just made a mark on every single part of our lives. And then when that's suddenly gone, it is I would be waiting for her to come through the door, or look at the door, jump at the door like she wanted to come in. So it was, pet loss is very, very hard. And I feel like our family it took a long time.
Yeah. Well, there's a quote, grief is the price you pay for love.
Oh, and we loved her.
Yeah. And it, again, it's relatable, because I think everybody, unfortunately, at some time can relate. They're just not with us long enough. So we say to ourselves at that time, okay, that's it. You know, you guys are growing up. You're going to be leaving. We don't need another dog, and we're not going to get another dog.
No.
And about 6 months after that, I hear from a friend. His name is Grant Little, and an amazing retired RCMP member, and he was in the drug sniffing dog world. He had drug sniffing dogs, and he reached out to me and he says, "I got a dog for you. I know you lost your Lacey and you loved her, and I've got another one." And I'm like, we don't want to go there, but he says, "Trust me, you'll love this dog. It's 2 years old, and I'm, you know, basically you have no choice." So Chloe came into our life on Carter's.
I think that this one
birthday.
was a 2-2 vote. I feel like you and Mom were not as into it. I didn't even live at home, but I was like, I would like another dog at this home because I got used to it I got used to having a dog around all the time, and then Carter wanted her bad. The most. Yeah.
Ironically, because now he shares her because he lives on the same property.
Yeah.
But she's no Lacey, and she's different than Lacey.
I think that we didn't have a full appreciation for how great and how unique of a dog Lacey was until we got other dogs.
Yeah.
I think because she was our first dog, and we're like, it's like when you have a kid and they're really great and they're easy. Everyone's like, oh, this is how it is all the time.
Yeah. And then the second one's born.
then the second one happens.
Yeah.
I feel like we got very lucky at first, and our current dogs are lovely, but they're not Lacey.
High maintenance.
Yes.
Chloe is high maintenance because she has come from the drug sniffing world, so her nose leads her everywhere, and she's from Texas. She's papered. She's got like 6 names. Like her real name is like Dark
Wizard Magic
Timber something.
Dark Timber Magic Wizard Riley.
You can Google her, I think, and her family have won like all sorts of things, and she's beautiful, and she's ours, but she can be a handful, and she loves food, and but I mean she's loving, and but it's just
she has a very big heart and a very strong nose.
And
love of anything on our table.
It's just the way it goes. But now we share her with Carter, and she's here, and she's 8 years old now, and again we love her, and but it's just different. They're all different, right?
And I think it's good that Chloe comes with her challenges, but she has 4 owners, so it's nice. It's Carter and Leslie. Watch her have to. You're only joint custody of sweet Chloe.
Yeah.
She has the biggest heart in the world.
Yeah, and she's got the best life. She's got 2 houses between that are 350 feet apart. Sometimes, when the other 2 have her overnight and they leave for work, she just comes and barks once, like, "Boop, let me in."
And how many times does she get double fed?
Yeah.
Because she comes over acting hungry.
Always, yeah. She's like, "Oh, I haven't eaten yet, I swear."
Yep.
So anyway, we do love her. I appreciate her. I wouldn't change it for the world, but she's a handful.
She's Chloe.
And some dogs can be that way.
Yeah.
So then, you don't think you're ever going to get a dog, do you? Like when you guys
Renato, it's like kind of an Italian thing. Maybe I'm wrong about this.
Yeah.
They don't have a lot of dogs.
Okay.
Even when we visited his family in Italy, you don't see dogs on the street in the same way you do here.
Okay.
Like I feel like it's less of a thing. One of his family members does have a dog, and it's just outside. They don't really associate with it. They give it some pasta every once in a while, legitimately. And that's kind of it. It's not the same like culture here where the pets are in your home and part of your family. They're more just like pets.
Right.
So he has never had a pet and even been near a pet. But I did definitely want a dog for sure at some point in our relationship.
Right.
Let's set the scene for this one. It is April of 2020. There wasn't a lot going on in the world. The world had shut down.
Yeah.
Renato and I were both working from home. I was working less than I normally was. We had a lot of time on our hands. And one of the ways that I dealt with the pandemic was searching pet adoption websites neurotically every day.
And you weren't the only one.
No, there was like a pet adoption influx for sure in the pandemic because people were home a lot more.
Yeah.
And so I would look at all the websites and look at all the things, and nothing. I didn't want. We couldn't have a big dog because we were living in a very small duplex at the time. And then one night, I remember it very vividly. A listing came up on Zoe's Animal Rescue on the Facebook page for a very small French bulldog named Honey in a diaper. And I can see the picture right now. But I looked at this dog and I read the description of her, and I said to Renato, "This is our dog. This is it. Like, she's perfect." Was she perfect? She came with a lot of health issues.
A diaper.
Some trauma, a lot of things, but something about that sad little puppy in that picture. And I remember sending it to you and Mom and saying, I'm applying for this dog. And you both said, absolutely not. She's wearing a diaper and she looks so sad and she's got all these problems. But I went back to our place and I wrote, it was like a fugue state. Renato said like he didn't even know what I wrote, but he's like the application was like I was in a fugue state and I was crying and I was
What's
typing.
a fugue state?
I was just like blacked out writing this like how much we would love her and how much we wanted this dog, because something about it, I was just like, this is our dog. And I'd never felt like that from any of the other ones on the site. Obviously.
You never felt that for your husband?
Not really.
No.
All
right.
But I felt such a strong connection to this listing of this puppy. And then a couple days later, we heard back from Zoe's and we got an interview, which was very exciting. And we did a virtual home visit to make sure our house was appropriate. And I remember Renato going around, because everything was virtual at the time. I remember Renato going around and straightening the picture frames in our house just in case they didn't want us to adopt, in case
there's something with those people, their pictures are crooked.
So we had a virtual home visit, and then eventually we got to meet our sweet puppy, Honey, and we met her foster mom, Cody, who we are still in touch with today. She's an amazing person, and the reason that Honey was rescued from the situation that she was in. And the second we got to hold her and she got poop all over us and she looked at us, it was like nothing. It was so, she was our dog. And I remember we FaceTimed you guys and we were holding her, and there was no going back at that point. It didn't matter what she needed health-wise, what she needed mentally. It was like this was going to be our family dog. And wow, does she ever make herself at home.
You guys weren't the only ones that applied for this dog. Like, there were hundreds.
We found out later. We thought that we were doing a big favor.
Yeah.
Applying to adopt this dog with health problems who required a diiper and a lot of different things. Yeah. There was like 300 applications. Yeah. Which is just crazy.
You won the dog lottery.
Something like that. Yes. It was her face. Her face really sold it. And so, yeah, we've now had Honey for almost 5 years, which is crazy because it feels like she's still a puppy. She still acts like a puppy. Yeah. But the journey that she's gone on in terms of her confidence and her health in that time really is amazing. Like, she was a very scared, very sick little puppy when we adopted her. And
there is trauma too, like rescue dogs. There's trauma. Like when they're treated like she was, like she was just left in her crate. That's why she developed the issues with her pooping, because
she had bowel issues.
She was abused. Like
she was basically abandoned in a basement.
There's a warm place in hell for those people. But anyway, I digress. Yes.
She had a glow up though.
Yeah,
she had a tough first year of her life, and the last 5 she's really got whatever she wants.
Yeah, she has.
And we kind of did the thing where we felt so sad for her, and we wanted her to be so confident that we gave her everything she wanted, including sleeping in our bed, every treat in the world, every toy in the world, and now we've created a little monster.
Yes.
But she's our little monster.
And everybody that knows you was wondering when the baby was coming, how this was ever going to work, because you already had a baby.
Yes. And Honey truly is like my first child. And so when I got pregnant, everyone's question was like, what's Honey going to do? Yeah. And I didn't know. And it was definitely something that we were concerned about, because Honey does act as if I birthed her myself. Yeah. And she needs a lot of attention, and she's a very cuddly kind of, she's very affectionate. So when we first had Leona and we came home, it was like this, we did all this research about how you introduce the baby and the dog, and you go outside and you meet in a neutral space, and then when it all happened and you're 2 days postpartum.
Sorry, I want to stop this. You guys actually were, prior to Leona being born, you'd go for walks with the baby.
Yes. Oh, yes. We tried to do everything we could to prepare her. So we would go with the empty stroller. Yeah. We looked like crazy people. So keep in mind, a 9-month pregnant woman pushing an empty stroller, and Renato with Honey, so that she got used to it, because we knew that Honey was going to be difficult, and so we were trying to get ahead of it. And
she was difficult.
She was difficult. Let's just say that. Yeah. Yes. She wasn't. I think when I tell people that Honey didn't adjust super well at first, they think she was like aggressive, and she wasn't aggressive. She was stressed. Yeah. And she was like, what is this new thing in my house, basically attached to my mom, and why is everyone acting different, and what is all this like energy? Like the energy, she definitely feeds off of the vibe, and she was like, everyone is crazy right now, and this is too much. There's too many hormones in this house for me, Honey said. Yeah. So we basically let Honey sleep at your house.
Yeah, she came to the farm.
Maybe almost a month.
Yeah.
and she would come to visitations
Yeah,
in
she
the
would do 'em.
day.
Yep,
And
yep.
and slowly we would get her closer to the baby and make her comfortable and give her so many treats. She gained so much weight. In
Yeah.
my postpartum phase, Honey gained
Yeah.
a lot of weight. And eventually one day, after all of this like slow transition, the most I cried postpartum was about my baby and my dog and
Yeah.
how I didn't think Honey could ever live with us again. I was like,
Yeah.
well, I guess Honey lives with my parents now, and
Yeah, and by the way, Honey, she comes here and she's fine, but she's depressed like when she's not
Yeah,
around you. So
she-
it's a tough
it
go.
was sad. I
Yeah.
was like, I know my dog is sad, but I
Yeah.
have to keep this baby alive, and
Of
I love
course.
her, and I'm still trying to figure out how to do this. Keep in mind another thing that I realized when I was giving birth and when I was in the hospital was that they did way more checks for us to adopt Honey than they did to just give us a newborn baby. Like there was no house visit. Nobody
There's-
checked our picture frames.
There should be.
Yes.
There should be
Yes. We
house
just-
visits for parents.
They gave us training with
Yeah.
Honey when we took her home, all kinds of guidelines, all
Yeah.
kinds of rules. The baby, here you go, good luck.
Yeah.
It's completely different.
Yeah.
So with time, it really did get so much better. And one day it just started to click. And
Yeah.
I think that Leona getting a little bit older and a little bit more interactive helped. Honey chilling out a little bit and realizing that this is the new norm. And now I would say that on maternity leave, Honey, Leona, and I are thriving because all we do all day is hang out, read stories, play on the ground, and Honey does love that baby.
She comes by and she does like kind of lick bys.
Yeah.
So she's just on
One
the floor
lick.
and Leona closes her eyes and smiles and just loves it. Right.
Yeah,
So
and-
who knows where that's going to go when she starts to
Yeah.
run around and things like that. But yeah, it did come around. So
yeah. And
thankfully.
Leona one day,
Yeah.
out of the blue, maybe 3 months old,
Yeah.
just realized that she had a dog in her house.
Yeah.
And ever since then, her favorite thing in the world is the dogs.
Yeah.
There's nothing that we can do that
Makes her smile like
no, and I know that Honey's gonna be her first word. Every mom wants their first word to be mom. It's gonna be Honey, no
Yeah.
matter what. And so it did get a lot better. So if you're listening to this and you're
Yes.
thinking about that, it's just time. Time makes all the difference in the world. And now I just have 2 daughters.
Yeah. Yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's anyway, but rescue dogs, fantastic. You know.
Oh, Zoe's Animal Rescue did an incredible job, and we'll be forever grateful to them for choosing us
Yeah.
and for supporting us with our journey with Honey.
Shout out to Zoe's. You're looking for a somebody to help out from a charity standpoint,
Yeah.
especially in the pet world. There's a lot of great ones,
Yeah,
right?
but
But
Zoe's has a special place in our heart for
It
sure
does.
because they do an amazing job.
gave us Honey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have to mute them on Instagram though because if
Yeah.
I see the dogs, then I want to adopt them all.
Yeah, you guys started to kind of get back into that mix with another little dog, right?
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyway,
Yep.
little butter.
Little butters.
Yeah,
Butters. We did some fostering for a
Yeah.
while. Yeah, prior to right now our hands are a little full in terms of
Yeah, and shout out to people that foster because that's got to be
Yes.
so hard. I mean, obviously, the ultimate is fostering children because you fall in love with these little people, and then
yeah.
and it's, dogs too, in some respects, right? It's
Mhm.
just a really amazing thing that some people have the ability to do. I just would never be able to give them up.
No, we would be foster fails and we would
Yeah.
have 100 dogs and it would just not be good. And our 2 dogs Chloe and Honey that we have now are
Yeah.
more than enough for the full family to handle.
Yeah,
But maybe we should touch on their relationship
yeah,
because if Leona's favorite thing in the world is Honey,
yeah,
then Honey's favorite thing in the world is Chloe.
yeah.
She loves her.
Our dog, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
She loves her. She loves, she will. When and Chloe's this way and that way about
Chloe
it.
doesn't care. She's just
But anyway, yeah, she'll be laying somewhere, and Honey will pop up beside her and like
They
be
cuddle.
be the little spoon all the time.
they
and it's just-
constantly cuddle. It's so cute.
They used to kind of play fight a lot,
Yeah.
but Chloe's done with that.
yeah, and
But
now
that used to be so cute.
but now they just kind of cuddle.
Yeah,
It's nice.
It is nice.
Chloe puts up with it.
Yeah. Well, we're gonna get some answers from somebody that knows what's going on
Yes.
with
Yes.
our dogs, and maybe give you some help as well. That's going to be part of the Edmonton Pet Expo, which is happening March 8th and 9th. So it's at the Expo Centre, and it's going to be absolutely fantastic. And we'll get to that in the next few moments. We got to do a shout out. Speaking of fantastic, how much do you love that Londonderry Dodge Jeep Compass Trailhawk?
Oh, you know what? In the last week or so, my love for it has only grown because in the last episode, I talked to you about how it has a Trailhawk. By definition, is meant you can off-road with it, and it's got
Right.
all these different modes. And I said, well, I mostly drive around Edmonton, so we're not going to be doing a lot of off-roading.
Yeah, North Glenora, there's not a lot of off-roading that
No,
happens.
but I was wrong.
Yeah.
Because the residential streets of Edmonton right now, with the cold weather we had, all the snow that we had, and then this warm-up situation
Yeah.
has created ruts
Yeah.
that are deeper than our previous old car. So thank goodness we couldn't have drove
I
if
don't
we
think
didn't
so.
have the Compass Trailhawk.
No.
But it is off-roading to get out of our neighborhood right now. I put that thing in snow mode and we go.
Yeah.
But it is. I have never been more
Yeah.
thankful for it. It's like 4x4
Yeah.
to just get onto 107th Ave.
Yeah. And then I've got the giant Dodge Ram and a 1500, and it's I can get through your neighborhood pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's needed. When we came out here tonight, you guys, I did a little bit of
There was a little drifting. But it was very safe.
Mitch, Jamie, and the great staff at Londonderry Dodge. Tell them Talking Scheetz sent you, and I promise they're going to give you the best deal in town, and they're going to hook you up if
Yes.
you need an off-road.
If you need to get out of your residential streets, they will set you up. For
make
sure.
it happen. All right. Well, this has been a great episode, and it's going to get even better in the next few moments because Kristen McKenna is joining us.
Yes, and she's the trainer manager. So I guess the manager of the trainers
Yeah.
at the Doghouse Daycare and Training in Wetaskiwin. And the Doghouse is going to be a part of Pet Expo coming up on March 8th and 9th. And she's going to hopefully help us with our problematic dogs.
And hopefully you too.
Well, one thing I do want to say about Pet Expo is
Yeah.
they do say, kindly leave your pets at home.
Yeah.
I didn't mention that.
All right.
I feel like some people we got to be clear about that, because if everyone brings their pets, then that's chaos.
That would be a disaster.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, exactly. All right. Let's let Kristen entertain. All right. And as promised, on this special pet edition of Talking Scheetz, we have an expert with us. And you know what? Full disclosure, we've spent about a half an hour with her already trying to talk about our dogs and their problems.
Yeah, and honey, yeah, we could spend an hour with you, and it would have nothing to do with anything about the Pet Expo. It would just be our pets.
Yeah. The good news is she's already diagnosed Honey with a mental illness.
which,
She's a special lady.
And you suggested if things continue, she could go on SSRIs.
So a lot of the times, behavior problems are actually just medical problems
Yeah.
masquerading as behavior. So it's important to be able to distinguish between one and the other. So
Right.
where we can help
Yeah.
in behavior.
She's gone.
And where we need to involve veterinary specialists, we can refer to them as well.
Yeah. And so anyway, if she needed that medication, she could just have some of mine. It would work out well.
yeah, I mean, of
Keep it in the
course,
family.
of course, our dog also has mental illness.
It just makes sense.
Yeah.
We got so much to talk to you about. Of course, the Pet Expo is happening this weekend. It's happening at the Expo Centre, and it's fantastic. And you've been there for 12 years, your company, The Doghouse.
Yeah, we've been in one capacity or another at the Pet Expo in Edmonton for 12 years now. It's been a great relationship.
Okay, why should people go?
Well, a lot of reasons. The first is that it is absolutely fun. It is great entertainment for the family. It's great entertainment. It's edutainment. You can learn a lot at the Pet Expo. It's not just dogs, it's cats, it's reptiles, it's all kinds of really wonderful things. And also, if you like shopping, there's a lot of really great niche things
Right.
that you can purchase there that you wouldn't be able to find elsewhere.
Have I ever left a grocery store without buying an item for my dog? I don't think so.
I
You
would
know?
hope not.
No, like it's just like,
Yeah, they know you've been there.
and she wrecks them in like a minute.
Yeah.
So but that's just the way it goes.
It's part and parcel. You don't
All
buy
right.
toys for dogs
Yeah.
hoping that they don't wreck them.
And you don't buy them at the grocery store. You buy them at the Pet Expo.
You buy them buy the
Yes.
good stuff at the Pet Expo.
All right. Okay.
In your 12 years, what is the craziest thing you've seen at Pet Expo?
Oh, the birds. The birds are always the birds that come. I've seen a bird that didn't want to go back to its handler.
Wow,
And
a rogue bird.
It was a rogue bird, and he was like, "Nope, not today. Not today. I have found my freedom. This is my home now."
So
I
what-
live at the Pet Expo.
is he still there?
No,
Hanging
no,
out
they
in the
did get
rafters?
the bird back.
They did get him, eh?
Yes.
All right. And so, so it's highly recommended, and we thank them so much for again sponsoring this. They're one of our very first sponsors of the
Yeah.
show. So we just love Louise and Augusta and everybody there. They're all great people.
Oh, they are wonderful people.
Okay, now let's talk about you. Okay, first of all, what does the Doghouse do?
So the Doghouse is a one-stop shop for everything dog in Edmonton.
Mm-hmm.
And we do everything from daycare to pet boarding. We have a retail section. We also have grooming, training, We do all kinds of stuff. If it has to do with dogs, we do it at the doghouse.
All right.
And-
Yeah.
How did you get into that?
A lot of people love being in the pet industry, but there's no one way to get there. And for me personally, I am actually a human teacher. I'm an elementary school teacher, an elementary generalist. And I came to Edmonton to work as a teacher, and I ended up working as the humane education assistant at the Edmonton Humane Society. From there, I took over the education department. I helped out in the training department, became very exclusive to the training department, and then moved into the private sector in training. And so I've been doing training and behavior in one way, shape, or form since 1989. And just learning as I go. If there's a day goes by without me learning something new, then I need to reassess what I'm doing. It's just something that can always continuously keep you busy, keep you challenged. And that's something that it drives me.
Yeah. The elephant in the room is who's more difficult to train? 9-year-old boy or a 6-month-old puppy?
That's a great question. Kids are actually super malleable. They're really fun to train.
Yeah.
Adults are so much harder.
I should have put them in the mix too. Yeah, that's impossible.
So if it's between a 9-year-old and a dog, I'm going to say we're probably on par.
Okay.
Both are pretty fun to train. They will always bring something interesting to the table. Adults, though, man, they have so much previous learning history that interferes with their ability to get new things.
It's probably like teaching an old dog new tricks. That's where they got that
I guess
phrase
so,
from,
although
right?
old dogs are way easier than middle-aged people.
You seem to be really down on people.
I love people.
That's fair.
You know what? 99% of my job is people.
Yeah.
It is a very rare day that I actually train somebody else's dog.
Yeah.
I am training people how to train their dogs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's talk about, you talked about Honey, the beautiful
Oh, she's lovely.
French bulldog
Yeah.
that jumped off Bailey's lap and is now with the executive producer, Renato. Things have come so far in you talk about 35 years. Now you're starting to understand the brains of these animals a lot more than you ever did 35 years ago.
Yeah,
right?
we've had some really incredible advances in science and understanding of animal cognition and psychology.
Yeah. All of a sudden, when I was growing up, there was no such thing as a dog with anxiety. Like it was just,
Right.
it's just that bad dog in the litter, right?
Totally. And,
You know?
and just like kids didn't have ADHD,
Right.
right? Like, they had it.
Or adults.
They had it. We just didn't have the way to diagnose it, to work with it. We didn't have the same capabilities that we do now. Now that we have a name for it, we have a better understanding of how the brain works. We can help them through those types of things. It's not that there's more anxiety or that anxiety in dogs didn't exist then.
Right.
It's that we just treated it differently. We understood it differently. And I kind of like where we're at now, and I like that that science is still advancing.
Sure.
And what is your favorite part of your day when you go to work, working with the people and the dogs?
My favorite part of working with animals and people is that it is always different. I don't go to work and think, oh gosh, I got to do another spreadsheet.
Well, today's an example. Today's an example, right? This is
Yeah.
probably the first time you've done something like this, I assume, a podcast.
Yeah, this is my first podcast.
Yeah, you're nailing it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I have done a lot of television. I've done some work in those areas, done a lot of public speaking, but this is my first podcast.
Right.
Yeah, so heck, why not?
Okay.
Right?
We're teaching a medium dog new tricks here.
There you go. Yes. My middle-aged self is learning something new today.
If you started in 1989, I did too, so I know exactly how old you are.
Yeah, there you go. Yes.
We're both well into our early 40s.
There you go. Yes.
Just do the math.
I said a medium dog.
Just-
Medium dog,
yeah.
not an old dog. A medium.
Just do the math. All right, some quick things that people that have dogs, some quick ideas. We could talk about a million different problems that dogs have and things like that. But let's talk really quickly about our Chloe and the fact that we can't have food anywhere in this house, on a table, on anywhere, without her wanting it. She's a black lab.
Right, yeah. So
Now-
black lab, that's pretty much in their breed standard is
it
that they want food.
Is it stoppable?
Most things are manageable.
Manageable.
And so there's two things to any good training plan. There's management and then there's training. And when your management fails, you hope that the training that you've done steps in and allows the dog to make great choices on their own. And so you always have to have that two-step process. Now, I can't tell a Labrador not to like water. right? I can't tell a border collie to not want to herd sheep. Those are some things that are innately a part of who they are. Pointers point. These are things that are genetically bred into dogs. These are things that we want in those dogs. Labradors have a great stomach for everything. They will hollow out a leg so that they can keep on going when it comes to food. And there's some great qualities to that. It makes them very easy to train. You can get a very high rate of reinforcement using food. They're always willing to work with you because of that. They always have something that they value. So it's not bad that your dog is food motivated. Now, if you don't want them stealing things off the counter, you do have to put caps on certain behaviors. Now, if I had a border collie and I said, okay, well, I also have a neighbor with 200 head of sheep, and if my border collie were to go out and herd the sheep whenever they want, that's a problem because now my neighbor's going to be very upset about my dog harassing their livestock.
Right.
So we can't have that. We have to be able to put caps on behavior, even though there's already a genetic predisposition for them to want to engage in that. So teaching things like leave it, teaching things like a food refusal. So these are some things that we can do to help train our dogs so that they're not doing the behaviors that we don't want. When you have a behavior and you're thinking that this behavior is unpleasant for you, it's probably just a behavior that your dog does because your dog is a dog.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, dogs see food and they're like, wow, some fool left food lying out there. Why shouldn't I eat that?
Sometimes she takes it right out of your hand.
Yeah, I mean, it's right there. Why isn't it already in your stomach? That's a problem for her.
Yeah, you must not want it. I know it's a hot dog around the fire, but...
Right, yeah. That's definitely for the dog.
You're giving it
in
to
her
me.
mind. It's right there. You haven't put it in your belly yet. It's fair game. Now, that's a dog thing. We're asking our dogs to live in a human world. So we have to somehow convey to our dogs what it is we do want. And when you're trying to eliminate a behavior, the easiest way to eliminate a behavior is to teach your dog what you want instead. Something that is incompatible with the behavior that is problematic for you. Now, because it's not a natural thing for your dog to do, that is something that training has to take over for. Because we're asking our dogs to live in a human world.
Right. Okay. And that could be any behavior. I just picked that one. But
Yeah.
there's a million different things. Maybe you're listening right now and your dog, or I don't know about cats. Are cats trainable?
Absolutely, yes.
They are?
Cats are
The ethology
very
is
smart.
different.
Yeah.
So there's certain things that you have to be aware of when training cats. They don't want to take food from your hand. So putting food on the floor or onto a spoon for them to take is much easier. There's certain bits and pieces about cats that are different than training dogs,
Right.
but the learning theory is the same,
Right.
regardless of species. You could train a rat the same way that you train a human child, or you could train a frog the same way that you would train a dog. The learning theory doesn't change. It's just the ethology. What drives that, what motivates that animal changes.
So what I'm getting is that we need to turn Chloe into a little bit more of a cat. She doesn't want to take, cats don't want to take food from your hand. Chloe really likes to take food from our hands.
Best of luck. I think you're going to have better luck training a leave it.
Do you have any other questions about maybe you should ask about Honey. Honey was a rescue,
Yes.
and she literally has unbelievable connection with Baillie, like ever since Baillie came into her life. And it's like, even Renato, who's her dog dad, there's nothing when Baillie leaves. When they went on holidays for a few days, we watched her. She just sat on her bed and looked out the door, looked at the door, waiting for Baillie to come back. Is there anything you can do for, literally depressed, right? Is that common?
Yeah, I mean, when people have connections with other people, you'll feel their absence.
Right.
When dogs have a connection, a good, deep emotional connection with a person, they will absolutely feel their absence.
Right.
I would never want to disrupt that relationship that you have. It sounds like a really beautiful relationship. I think that if you want to help her through that in the future, that creating deeper relationships with other people is probably in the forecast.
We have a bit of it's a bit toxic for sure. because she sleeps right here every night and she's just like a little baby. So I might not have done the best job of creating helping her create relationships.
Not at all.
I have to set her free.
I try when she's
If we love them, we have to set them
Yes,
free a little
yes.
bit. Yes.
I try using
Yes.
peanut butter.
She's staring at me right now. She's like, Mom, no.
Why is this man that's been living with me since I got with you holding me?
She's like, I'd like to be with my mom right now, please.
You know what? I recently found out that I am one of my dog's spare human.
Oh, yeah.
It was a very difficult realization for me.
Like you're not number one?
Yeah,
I'm
the
not number
spare
one.
human.
Spare human.
I am the spare
I
human.
haven't heard that term. That's funny.
Yeah. So the dog's name is Fever. She's a beautiful dog. I love her dearly. And I trained her how to play a game called Flyball.
Yeah.
And Flyball is something that we're actually going to be doing at the expo. Our
Okay, tell
Flyball
us,
team will
yeah.
be there. We're going to show you how to play it, how that's done. It's a really fast-paced, high-energy sport. It's like drag racing dogs.
Cool.
And so I trained my dog to do this. It's typically about a 1.5 to 2 year process to train a dog how to play this game. It's pretty deep and involved, and it's very precise. And I love playing it, and the dogs love playing it too. Well, I taught my dog how to play the game. She went out and she ran a number of tournaments for me. She's absolutely phenomenal. She's running fast. She's running clean. I'm having a blast playing with this dog. And one tournament, my neighbors who have 5 children showed up to help our team at the tournament. They were doing things like picking up the balls, taking videos for us, scribing. And my dog, Fever, I sat her down on the line and I got her ready to race. And she was looking at the ball. And then she started looking over her shoulder. And I said, no, honey, the ball's down that way. And she just keeps looking backwards. And I send her out to go do her run. And she kind of toodles down the lane. She grabs the ball and then she spits it out. And she toodles back and she looks at me and like, this is not right. And I thought my dog was dying.
Sure.
I was like, are you okay? Like, this is not the dog that I normally run with. Like, I'm checking her over for injuries. How are you feeling? Are you good? Turns out she wanted to run for my neighbor's kid. His name is Ian. And they're like this. They are tight.
They're cheating on you.
They are cheating on
And
me.
you had to find out the hard way in
I
a
found
public
it-
setting.
Right? It was just, it just killed me. I was like, for real, like, I'm not my dog's favorite person.
It's not you.
It's like, who pays your vet bills, honey?
It's not you. It's Fever.
Or it's Ian.
Ian.
And she loves him and he loves her. And, she goes over to his house in the morning. They're homeschool kids. They're great. They come over and play with the dogs.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they come take them on their recess and lunch break. And
Of course they do.
yeah, they're amazing kids. And, as it turns out, if Ian is around, I am dirt.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I pulled this kid. He's 10 years old.
Yeah.
And I brought him over to the line. I said, I think she wants to run for you. And so I had to step back and hand my dog to this kid. And she ran clean and fast for the rest of the day. Broke my heart.
Whatever it takes to win, right?
Oh, you know what? They love each other, and I have to be okay with that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Fly ball. Okay, maybe you could take our Chloe because she is fast.
She can fly.
She can fly.
Yeah.
She's like the
Very
world's
athletic.
fastest dog.
Hey, labs are great at it. We have
Yeah.
actually 3 labs on our team,
Okay.
and they are phenomenal fast dogs.
Any French bulldogs?
We actually have a pug.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, a pug named Sherlock.
Oh, I didn't think that they were built for flyball.
They are not, and Sherlock is exceptional.
They're not built to breathe.
You know what? Sherlock can breathe.
Yeah.
He can run.
Yeah.
And he's a fun little flyball dog. He will be there as well at Pet Expo.
Okay.
Amazing.
Yeah,
I
so
think-
if you'd like to see a pug play flyball, come on down.
That is a reason alone.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. You know what? You're fantastic. And the doghouse.
Yeah,
Kristen McKenna
thank you.
from Wetaskiwin,
Yes.
where cars cost less.
Cars cost less, gas costs more.
Yeah.
That's a trade-off.
And you have huckleberries there too.
Yes,
Shout
which
out
is
to
very
Huckleberries, the
important. I
restaurant.
love huckleberries.
Huckleberries is very great.
They're
people.
phenomenal food, great
Yeah.
staff, good people.
Free plug for Huckleberries.
Yes.
Yes.
Big fan of the dill pickle soup.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
dill pickle everything
Yeah,
there.
they do.
They are
They
good on
really
the
do.
dill.
Pet Expo happening this weekend. Thank you to Louise and Augusta again for believing in us and
And for sending us such an amazing guest.
honestly.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's
Yeah.
been a
You're
blast.
so busy, so busy
Yeah.
for you to.
There's a million dogs that need your help, and here we are. Here we are, keeping you in a basement.
Check
and
it out.
happy to be here.
Check it out this weekend at the Expo Centre. You can see maybe that bird that's still flying around there.
Yes,
And
I hope the bird has found its person.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
Sherlock the pug.
Sherlock the pug.
Fling
Phenomenal
fireball.
little pug.
Well, that was fun.
Hey, and Honey didn't bite our feet, so she senses the presence.
She looks so sad right now.
She's ready for a nap. It's been a big day for her.
Oh,
Yeah.
always.
Awesome.
So beautiful.
Awesome. Kristen, thank you for joining us. And
Thank
we
you for
hope you've
having me.
enjoyed the Pet Edition
Yes.
from the Pet Expo.
Even when we got nothing to talk about, there's nowhere I'd rather be. 'Cause there's something about you and me just sitting around talking sheets.